Thanks for staying with us. And if you just tuned in, you're right on time to catch all the excitement on Today with John and Helen live on PlusTvAfrica. This week has had quite a few high points for us. Well, maybe, Helen?
Just a few? Let's share a few.
Just a few. Let's share a few.
And number one would be...
Yes, you heard about the building collapse
in Jos.
In Jos.
Very unfortunate.
Wow.
And it's not only in Jos, so it's happened a lot.
Usually
at this time of the year, with the rains, we hear this. Some weeks ago, it was Lagos turn, and now it is Jos. I'm very, very unfortunate that a lot of young people have lost their life, and it's still counting the casualties from that.
Yeah, so really we have to be intentional about the structures that we put up from scratch. Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
And cherry news here in Lagos, the National Theatre, has been rightly, can we say?
Yes.
Renamed after the Nobel laureate, Wole Soyinka himself. He deserves that, I think.
I think he does.
He does.
It's even overdue, actually. Yes.
Overdue.
So well done. That's a good one.
Good decision. So for creatives, and we just believe that with this, National Theatre will get back its lost glory.
Yeah, we
so much is happening
effort,
there. Renovations going on.
Some effort has been made towards bringing it back to life.
Yeah.
So there.
Okay. So that's the banter about what's been happening in the week. A few of the things that caught our attention. Now to the main issue for today. And to help us unpack the topic, polygamy, our culture, our choices, is Dr. Bountiful Taiwo-Adelanwa. I got that right?
No, you did
Adelanwa.
Better.
Adelanwa. She's a professional social worker. She's a psychologist with many years of track record in people, business, and community development, particularly in urban indigenous communities. Our first guest today is a business development expert and a strategist. She's a certified SME consultant and trainer, a serial entrepreneur who runs the Bountiful Options Consulting and MD, Chief Executive Officer of Bountiful Events. Dr. Bountiful Taiwo-Adelanwa is founder of Bountiful Foundations, a social enterprise with a vision to make better individuals and better society. It's time. She's got so much. Her CV is loaded. We just needed to just abridge this. So it's time to welcome a highly resourceful personality, a public analyst and host, Mentoring Time Out with Bountiful. Dr. Bountiful Taiwo-Adelanwa. It is really, really, really. Give me that smile now. It's a great pleasure to have you on the show with us today.
Yeah.
Well,
and I must say that she's my favorite, actually. Yeah, we've had a few connections here and there.
Then I can say that's mutual too. He's my favorite too.
Wow.
So has to be the mic.
That you're able to make it, even with the weather. And let's move straight to the point. We're talking polygamy. Our culture, our choices. So tell us, talking about cultural significance, could you please explain to us how polygamy is traditionally viewed in Nigerian culture and why it's been practiced for so long?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So I will talk about polygamy and our culture. I like to start talking about polygamy from culture angle before religion, because polygamy actually exists with us even before religion came.
Yeah.
And so as far back as we can trace humanity, you can trace polygamy. However, we need to understand at this point the reason, the cause for polygamy, even though it's in our culture, the cause, and then how it's being run, and then before we can now talk about the trend. But before I go into that, what is culture? Let's even just agree, what is culture?
Yeah.
Because we talk about is our culture. What is culture? It's a way of life that is synonymous to a location.
Yeah.
So that means it's just the way we do. So if you do, for example, if Johnson and I pick a behavior, and then you start taking that behavior over time, and then the next time Ellen says, "Oh, Senaya did it, and it's nice," and then Ellen does it, and then the next time I do it. it becomes a culture.
So you both agree on a code.
We are all in the location. It's unconsciously or consciously becomes a culture. So we can move from norms to our written constitutions, and it becomes a culture with us. So that means somebody had 2 wives. Then somebody said, "Oh, you have 2 wives, and his life is better for having 2 wives." And that person also have two wives.
2 wives.
And so if I have 2 wives, I do 3.
Another
So it becomes a trend, an agreed trend.
Good. So I think trend will be easier with our younger folks to relate with, because culture, like, it takes them back. So it becomes a trend, and then a norm, and then it becomes acceptable in our society. Now, how do culture begin? So it becomes from socialization, interacting with Senaya. I don't want to use you with 2 wives. Let me use another example.
I don't mind.
Okay, so it begins with seeing Mr. A having 2 wives, and by my interaction with socialization with Mr. A having 2 wives, I decide to have 2 wives too. And then seeing Madam C having 3 husbands, then I begin to have 3 husbands too. I'm building a crescendo.
Yeah.
Now, so it becomes a culture in that location. 3 is the fact that polygamy. Why is the man having many wives is what comes to our mind? That's not it.
Okay.
Polygamy is not saying a marriage that has more than one spouse or more than one spouses.
Okay.
Yeah. So it could be polygamy. So polygamy has 2 legs: either polygyny or polyandry.
Okay.
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 So when we talk about polygamy, is not what comes to our mind is a man having many wives. No.
Because they like hitting us down.
Yeah. So our culture too also have women who have many husbands.
Really?
Yes. In some cultures, yes, they do. Let's not be limited by, I'm a Yoruba girl, you are not a Yoruba man. So when we talk about Africa and the culture of polygamy, it could be polygyny or polyandry. And that's really on with us. In my own culture, something we call Onitijumi.
Yeah.
The one I'm shy for, the one I respect,
Okay.
the one I blush, my weak point, the one that when it shows
the
up,
one who has my mumu bottle.
you get it. So when we talk about those ones, how about Onitiju Alaji, Onitiju Daddy, Onitiju Mommy, and they know each other.
Okay.
Some research, some studies have even said human beings are, people who say polygamy in nature, I would say maybe polyamory. It's another trend in polygamy.
Whoa.
Polyamor, where we believe that some humans have capacity to love more than one person per time. Why did this issue of having one wife start? It's because somebody feels it's better.
So really, side chick is a cultural thing.
It's a natural phenomenon, not cultural.
Natural.
It's natural with human beings.
Okay.
You know, some young folks will say we are polygamous in nature. Maybe polyamor.
Okay.
Well, some people have capacity. You know, human beings varies. So because they told us you can only love one person per time, and I will begin to love one person.
Okay.
That's some
So they
humans.
set that trend.
Yes, in our brain.
Our brains.
So
Okay.
there are some humans who could love more than one person at a time.
Okay.
You understand? And then when we not
Very
begin to
debatable.
accept, no,
Very debatable.
I said some
Very
humans. So
controversial.
well, yes, controversial. Polyamory is quite controversial when it comes on the table. But research has said for every 5, 1 out of every 5 human beings have actually experienced polyamory at some point in time. Maybe in your youthful age, you had a boyfriend.
That's loving more than one person.
Yes, you had a boyfriend, and the other person may even know. Sometimes they even know.
And sometimes you just want
So
to be
let's
sure.
come back home
You
with
just want to be sure that you are making the right choices.
Yes.
So you are sending all.
it's polyamory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Putting all
So now
eggs in
coming
one
on to
basket.
polygamy now.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's either for the male or the female.
Okay.
For us in Africa, why do we do it? So there are some things in our culture. I need to lay this background also. Does not make it right. There are things that are found in our culture that are unhealthy.
Okay.
Female genital mutilation is found in our culture and is not healthy.
Exactly.
Ostracizing twins was found in some African culture and was not healthy and was abolished.
Yeah.
So let's look, with that lens, let's look at polygamy too.
Okay. So you have given
You've
us
laid the
background.
table.
Yeah, you've given us background information. So let's go deeper into it, and deeper meaning that we want to find out at this point in time how having multiple spouses, how it affects the family life and the relationships within the family.
Thank you. So that brings us to the effect of polygamy. But before I talk about the effect, let's talk about the causes. Why do we have polygamy? Why do we do it? One was because having children was considered economic strength, a show of strength.
Okay.
Remember that Africans, we came from the subsistence living, farming. So with more children, in those days, with more children, they come to farm with you. You don't have to pay somebody to work for you.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's always a family business. When the men do, like we say, the value chain in agribusiness, production, marketing, and processing. Production, processing, and marketing. So when the men do more in production, the women does the processing and marketing.
Sure.
So if you have more women to do your processing for you, like you have more children to do production, you need more women to do processing, and then you have more wives. And then they all go to market, and then you have different sales channels on the market.
Makes sense.
That's why we do polygamy. Then that's why we do polygamy. We have also moved from that subsistence farming. We're wearing suits and in collar jobs. Then also another thing was fertility cases, where the first wife, maybe they know for one reason or the other, couldn't bear a child, and then they marry another child to the man, and then it becomes polygamy. Another thing for cultural reasons, like we do widow's rights. When a member of the family dies, male member of the family dies, the family doesn't want the child to go out, so they betroth the wife to someone else, not because they want to sleep with the woman, it's to provide a father figure for the child. That's another reason why we do polygamy. All these reasons are good, isn't it? Now, another reason maybe personal reasons, but we really, so that in those days we have strong cultural influences. And we have in the northern region where your father says, this is your wife, and you don't object. In those days. Remember, culture is not static. It's changing. So to the effect now, it has shown a lot of rivalry. Literature has proven to us that a lot of women, most women in polygamy, are prone to mental illness.
And that's where we were going, actually.
Yeah, there are studies, evidence-based studies.
There must be some kind of emotional trauma, impact, mental challenge.
Yes, there is. Even children from polygamous family are known to be traumatized, stressed, and probably full of animosity. You understand? Because they come from where they have to struggle for this, struggle for attention. And then when you now have individual, personalities, you can only control your behavior, you can't control my behavior. And sometimes my behavior is not what I can also control, because my culture, my environment, my experiences shapes my behavior. So you might have some wives who accept having another wife and some who don't. However, I also laid the balance that in those days, when they have, in some culture where they have a second wife, it takes the consent of the other wife.
And the wives are the one who even go to look
for the wife. And some feel I'm becoming of age.
We go back to those days.
In those days.
Some wives feel I'm becoming of age.
Yes.
I cannot satisfy my husband anymore, or I'm not interested in anymore. And they get a wife for their husband. In fact, sometimes to even wash the man's clothes.
Okay.
Not even for.
Now they'll tell you that if you can't get a.
Even the first wife doesn't wash anymore. We use washing machine. So why do you want to take another wife? Use washing machine, wash your clothes. So
can you imagine that?
Oh goodness. All right. So we're looking at the choices and the culture.
Yeah.
Polygamy. Is it our culture or is it our choices? So we're looking at that. That is the main subject matter.
Okay, so it's our culture.
It's our culture. Yes,
it's our culture.
We have,
but the fact that it's our culture is not binding on us, on everybody. Not all cultures are obeyed. I'll tell you, when as our culture to have tribal marks, I don't have one. My father chose not to give me one. So let's be objective. So that means it's our choice.
It's our choice.
Yes, it's our choice. It is in our culture.
Because culture is not binding.
It's not binding.
It becomes our choice.
It becomes our choice.
What we want to do.
It is found in our culture.
Yeah.
It is found in human nature to love more than one person per time, to want to be selfish and then want more, or to explore. But it is our choice. Now, for every choices we make, for actions and inactions, there are consequences. And when we take these actions or make these choices, we should be ready for the consequences. And with these consequences also should be fair to all concerned.
As a Rotarian.
We should be fair
I
to all
wasn't going to
concerned.
say that because anytime we talk Rotary, Helen gets green. I see her go green with envy And, so we won't talk
if you have not experienced road people, you are missing.
I'm not missing. I'm a lion.
That's why.
Right.
They are listening more from the collaboration.
Okay, so we have, I don't know, somehow we've left out religion
yeah.
in this. Now, how does religion, how does it come to play in this whole set of polygamy? Because we have the two, let's even take the two main in quotes, that's Christianity and,
Islam.
Islam. In Islam, you are allowed more than one wife. Clearly.
Allowed.
So
Yes.
I avoid the religion angle because I'm not authority in religion.
Okay.
But as a scholar, I have actually dealt with literatures in that area.
Okay.
So I would speak from extents of literature I've read about it and in terms of literature, the Quran and the Bible also is a literature.
Yeah.
Before I move on, I also would want to differ. When you say the popular religion, you say the Christian and Islam. The Christianity and Islam, no. Because our traditional culture in Africa has actually showed us its resilience. So I insist that we'll talk about all the three cultures.
Okay.
Now, so one, Islam allows you to marry up to 4. But there's a caveat. There's a condition of service. And if you cannot meet these conditions, don't go there.
Yeah.
Now, if you are honest with ourselves, how well can you meet the conditions? It's about, I think I remember about 3 or 4. Fairness, equity, and justice.
Okay.
How fair can you be fair? Can you give them same housing, same attention, same... even in our culture where you do rotational sleeping.
Rotational what?
Sleeping, they say it's my turn, the husband sleeps in my room.
I just
tonight.
wanted a clarification.
Okay, rotational bedding, you call it better. Rotational bedding. So, and then on the day of my turn, the guy is tired. Or on the day of my turn, something happens and he has to be out of state.
Yeah.
And then on the day he's in town, is the turn of another person. About fairness to me.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. So
Not fair to all concerned.
it's not fair to all concerned. Even the other person that is his turn, it's not our fault that the man was not in town on the day of my turn.
Yeah.
So if you must hide under religion, please take it in totality. If you can provide for all the conditions, and I'll say, as a professional, I am not judgmental. It's a fundamental part of my profession, not judgmental, not discriminatory. So if you want to take it, please go by the laws. 2, on the region of the Christianity religion, studies has also shown that for us in Africa, the Islamic religion is more adaptable, is more tolerant to our culture as an African.
Yeah.
That's why you see us doing it more.
Yes.
Well, the Christianity religion is rigid. I'm a Christian. I'm not saying this to condemn Christianity, but it's more rigid and not adapted. It's not easy to be adapted into our culture and our way of life.
Yeah.
So now, because we are polygamy in our culture, there's a reason that allows me to take polygamy, and there's one who says no emphatically to polygamy. I think after my last interview on polygamy recently, somebody took me up on one of my WhatsApp platform and says, in Christianity is a sin, you go to hell. I'm not an authority. Everything Christianity says, is that everything you did or you do? So why are you picking? Why are you isolating this? And some people, even the Bible says that some people were born eunuchs. Some people made themselves eunuchs. Some people, the world makes them, circumstances make them eunuchs.
Okay.
So people that be polygamous as a Christian by nature, by circumstance beyond them, or by choice. I'm not here to condemn anybody.
All right. Okay. So let's look at the laws. Are there specific laws about polygamy in different parts of this country? Are there laws?
So talking about the law, you will make me shake a table a bit.
Please go ahead.
The law that we are guided by in our country, is it our law?
Is it our law?
As a scholar, it is not our law. It was a law imported to us by the colonials. It is not a law that is really, how is the law adapted to our culture?
To us.
To us as South Africa. And I'm saying here, until Africans begin to tell our story by ourselves, the way it is to us, we're not going anywhere.
We're making some progress in that direction.
The Constitution is guided by the laws that the white men left with us. So our law from at polygamy, full stop.
Outrightly, okay.
In some parts of the country.
In in some, so we're talking about the national law, the constitution, not Sharia law now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So the national law frowns at it.
Yes.
But like I tell my female folks, when we gist, this is a gist now, not the professional saying. It is when you see the calabash that you see the mark on the calabash. If you don't see the man, what value is the certificate in your cupboard?
Exactly.
If I don't have your heart, I don't need the certificate. I want to win you. I don't want to say I want to own you, but I want to own the place in your heart. I don't need the certificate. So when we talk about our law, the constitution frowns at it.
But mistresses will be happy at what you just said.
So,
he doesn't need to marry me as long as he's with me.
For me, I don't fight about being your wife. You see this statue, I'm your wife. I am not, let's not digress. I'm not interested in it. So I'm talking about the one that is in your heart.
So when you talk about the certificate, what I'm getting is, it's only when you've gone to the court, all right, and you have a court wedding.
Customary wedding, not about customary wedding.
Customary, yes.
Customary wedding is recognized under the law, under the law.
Traditional
wedding. It's recognized under the law.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if it's customary wedding. Maybe you're not allowed to have polygamy, but I know one of the jokes when I was getting married and my husband wanted to consider going to the registry and or going to the court, and and somebody in the family said to him, he's an Awori guy, so traditional from the royal family. I said, you're a prince, you don't do this. If you marry your wife tomorrow, you want to now be a king and you want to have another wife, then you go to jail for 7 years and you do. And he said a whole lot of stuff. And I said, well, the laws stipulate some conditions why he should not do it, but that's not the reason. That's not the essence for me.
Wow.
That's not the essence for me. I just want to legalize my relationship for documentation reasons, and that's all. We have married ourselves in our heart and we're fine with it.
So clearly there you will see the difference or the clashes between culture and choice.
Yeah.
True.
Right? Because in some cases you want to adhere strictly to culture. And again, you're saying culture is not binding, that you could still make your choice.
Okay. So what would not be the balancing?
What would not
Let's
be?
What is the value?
As we get
what is your
closer
value?
to winding up this conversation.
What is your value? What drives you? Who are you? There is a benchmark. There is a point you don't go beyond because of your values.
Yeah.
So define your values, define yourself, and then the people we are social beings, we don't exist in isolation. People in your space, other stakeholders, how is it to them? I've watched on YouTube how houses are doing second marriage or third marriage, and then the senior wife come to hand over her husband to the other wife, or hand over the other wife to the husband. If they agree on it, it's fine. But what are the consequences? As we speak, United Nations has frowned about polygamy. I mean, polygyny, let me say that way. They have found that it is anti-feminism. It's anti-woman. It's against the dignity of a woman. And they are saying it should be abolished in totality. Some of our cultures have been campaigned against, and it happened. So I'm not going to lead that campaign, and I'm not talking about it. But how about other stakeholders? So if it gives you more harm than good, why are you doing it?
You know, where this is taking us now, for me, from my own point of view, is that it's high time we sat down as a country, and we itemize all of these things and see how it applies to us. Because culture one is different from culture two. Culture in the East is different from culture in the West, and all of that. But we all have to have an agreement. We have to sit at the round table.
Round table?
Agree?
We're a developing country. We have many needs. And this will be list of, the hierarchy, the Maslow's hierarchy. At the bottom where we are is to feed.
True.
So polygamy, if you're okay, if it's when you have eaten that you want, but you find that people who are not even eating are even doing it more.
The poor people.
They are doing it more. And I tell people that, look, whatever decision you make, you are creating a trend. You are creating a new culture. And now polygamy is rearing its head again. And people who do it should remember that it's not about them, it's a trend they are creating
and
again.
The children will also pick that up.
And the children will bring it up. I'm from a polygamous home. Am I happy? Am I fulfilled with it? I think I stay by the findings of the research. When I was reading it, I always agree with all the findings of the research about children from polygamous home. Yes, there are people who came from polygamous, they are happy about it. I have a late stepmother that I love so much, and I really just wish she's still alive. Yeah, so, but my father even himself, before he died, said, I curse my child, any of my children who choose the path of polygamy. He said it openly.
Wow.
And some men will say, I am a polygamous man. I want my children to do the same thing. It's about choices. But the consequence of our choices and other stakeholders involved. I joke about the fact that the last factory production of real responsible men ended 53 years ago.
That's a topic for another day. That on its own. 54 years ago.
Yeah,
the last factory.
Yeah, so at a point in time, we lost our focus as women. In our bid to find our space, to earn our own income, economic empowerment, the role of parenting suffered. So it is now that the direction, the conversation is changing again, and the new generation is sitting to it. So the new production of the 25 downward, I'm saying majority, I didn't say hollow.
Yes, majority.
So between that 53 to 25, most of them, they are factory rejects.
Oh my goodness.
So they should recalibrate, and then because at that point, bandwidth,
our daughters are in trouble then.
They won't be, because now conversations are coming up, and then the day you have a problem, that's the day you begin to solve your problem. So at that point we lost it. The real men of values, the real responsible men who trade off their desires for purpose, who are disciplined, who understand, who have respect, who appreciate culture. I think the major production started.
I'm happy I'm not within that.
Okay. Seriously, this is a topic for another day.
Yes,
very interesting, angle and subject matter. But for now, we just want to say thank you for your time. It's been so. You shook the table a little bit.
You almost broke.
Yeah, not too much. By the time we get to this subject matter, I'm sure you will break.
I don't have data to back it up. It's just an assumption, but I think it's obvious.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
having me. Thank you.
So Helen, one man's meat is another man's person.
Yes, now just
culture and choice, polygamy, and all of that is a matter of choice. So really, I want to also thank you for giving us this time. I wish you could keep it for longer, but our producer is saying that we got to go.
It's been a very
society is definitely constantly evolving, and so are the needs and interests of people and families. It's very clear from our discussion today.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, what a way to start the show today. Many thanks once again to Dr. Bountiful Taiwo-Adelanwa.
Yeah.
We're looking for the crown.
Yeah.
I know that. Up next is the Culture Conversation segment. And what is Chizoba bringing to the table today? If you stay tuned, you will find out. Over to you now, Chizoba.